The good things in the current world is that you can be an entrepreneur with no very strong barrier in terms of technology.
You're listening to CyberZone podcast, powered by Cyberr, the world's leading platform for cyber professionals. Welcome to CyberZone, the podcast where we explore cybersecurity, technology, and innovation. I'm Dranusha, your host, and in this episode, we're diving into the journey of an entrepreneur, the risks, resilience, and strategies behind building a successful business in today's digital world. Joining us is Christophe Bianco, co-founder and managing director of Exilium Services, a cybersecurity firm that started in 2012 and later became an industry leader, ultimately acquired by Thales in 2022. With over 14 years of experience in information security, Christophe is also an associate professor, a sought-after speaker, and a business angel supporting startups. Christophe, let's start at the beginning. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You've been in the trenches of cybersecurity for years before founding Excelium. Was there a specific aha moment when you decided to leave your career behind and start your own company?
So normally I'm supposed to say yes, but the reality is that I was fired from my previous job. And based on that, I started to think about what could be or what should be the next step based on the experience and what I've done. Going back to the same kind of job I was doing for years, or perhaps taking that opportunity to create something new, perhaps where I'm more in charge of and more managing my destiny. And that's how we created that. And I should not say an accident, but it's by brainstorming with previous employees that we said, but why we are not doing that together? And that's how we started Exelium.
And I have another question about that. How did you decide to focus specifically on a holistic cybersecurity offer than a specialized product, for example?
So I think we did not really think about that at the beginning. The fact that we were based in Luxembourg create naturally the portfolio. What do I mean by that? I mean that the size of Luxembourg makes things like if you are a security provider to a company, you need to be able to support them as a trusted partner. So it means you have to deploy the full portfolio because the market is so small, the customer do not want to pick up specific services from 10 different providers. So, and I think it was in line with the mindset we wanted. It's to be not just a provider, but a trusted provider. Means when you got issue, we are here. And so for that, you need to have the capability to support them, whatever the request is. So for sure, that's created some tension on the business model. But I think that's one of the key elements of the success we have today.
Yeah, I think I want to switch the focus a little bit more into the business strategies of cybersecurity. And I have a little bit more questions about Exilium. I'm quite impressed by the work and you deciding to leave your career behind to found your own company, which takes a lot of courage. When you co-founded Exilium in 2012, what gaps or business opportunities did you see in the cybersecurity space that you thought were ripe for innovation?
So here again, I should say we got a good vision and blah, 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 but don't. In fact, initially when we created Exelium, we were thinking that the market is already addressed by a lot of players because a lot of security firms were already present on the market. And so we said, we were thinking that there's a specific segment of the market that was not really addressed, which is the small and medium business. And so we think about addressing that market with a full portfolio of services designed to be affordable for that kind of company. And we started like that. And I remember that in order to build that offering, we talked to 10 of our previous customers. And one of them said to us, are you recreating something? And we say, yes. Said, okay, but I'm interested. Said, yeah, but you are not a small and medium customer. Say, I don't care. I got the money. I got the purchase order. If you are ready, I will order. And so we launched the company like that. And in fact, We realized that the question is not is the market crowded, is are you able to disrupt that market by having a better execution, better capability. And so because we were in the service business, the point was to do that differently with more empowerment, more expertise, and being able that we define or design customized services that fit the customer need and not just standard offering that we're pushing like that. So I would have said that we think about a very strategic things, but not, I think, most of the businesses are not very complex. It's just the execution that make things happening better than others.
Yeah. Was it difficult to decide which kind of tools will you be offering as a service provider? So we have the CM, Xsource, or now we even have artificial intelligence systems. So can you elaborate a little bit on that regard?
Yes, so I'm a little bit provocative in my way of thinking and speaking, but I think that having or relying on security product, that what makes security not working quite well. Okay, and the question is not the product, the question is the way you are managing that. And so we managed to not rely on specific product, but use the product that was the best at the moment in time. So for example, you mentioned SIM. I think over the 12-year of history of Exilium, we switch on 4 or 5 different categories because the technology evolves. And so you have to adapt. And I think that what customers are buying to us is not the expertise we have in a specific product, is the fact that we have built services around that to make the complexity of the technology not a barrier.
Yeah.
And I think by too much relying on security product to solve the security business makes what we are facing today a complexity that makes a lot of issues, creating opportunity for bad people or people with bad intention to exploit that.
Yeah. I think one of the other points that it's very important, especially for entrepreneurs and small businesses, that they start from scratch, is scalability. My next question would be, one of the toughest challenges when scaling a cybersecurity company is ensuring that security and scalability go actually hand in hand. So my question would be, and I'm quite interested for myself as well, what strategies did you use to ensure that Exilium could grow quickly without compromising security for the clients that you were having?
So if the question is because you are thinking about launching a new company, I will charge you for the advice. But
Noted.
No, for Excel, you're right. The challenge is really the scalability, especially in the cybersecurity services industry, not the product, the services industry. And this morning I was exchanging with someone that wanted to launch his own company on that. And I think that today, I'm not sure I will start again Exelium, because the size of the challenges in cybersecurity require a lot of means and a lot of capability at the moment. So when we started in 2012, I remember SOC services were not existing in Luxembourg. We were the first one, or nearly the first one. And I remember we did that with some people on call during the night and all these kind of things. Today, the malicious activity does not allow us to operate like that. You need immediately to have 24/7 capability, strong people, strong capability, reaction time is key. So that makes the concern more difficult to handle, I think, without a significant investment. The second point in scalability when it comes to services, it's people. And I remember we were lucky to attract lots of new talents because of our unique positioning. But I remember that we did several choices in order to be able to manage that. The first one was we were looking for expertise. That does not mean that we were looking just for experts. But the contract we have, even with the new talent on the market, was to train them a lot in order to grow them rapidly. And we never negotiate about that, which I think it's one of the reconnaissance that make Thales interested by our capability. The second one is, and that's a current challenge. Scalability for us means, when you provide SOC services, means that the volume of data explode every quarter. Your number of people does not explode every quarter. You have an economic model to follow. So you need to work on a continuous way to improve automation, efficiency, capability to extract data, to bring to the analyst as fast as possible the right information to take decision and all these kind of things. That's required a lot of investment. I think since the beginning of Exilium, every year we were investing between 1 to 3 million euro in capabilities. So it means you have to make that money. And so that was quite challenging, I should tell you, to maintain that capability and to continue to grow. Because when you are an entrepreneur like us, you finance that on your own. So people want the salary paid year end or month end, and you have to make sure that despite the investment you are doing, you can sustain that capability. That's why we rapidly think about being international, because the Luxembourg market is a good market to start, but after you have to expand beyond the borders if you want to maintain that investment capability and get the result of that investment. So that's why we from the start think to go outside Belgium, Switzerland, and country around us in order to have a kind of return based on the investment we were doing. Now to come back to your subliminal question, because I think I saw that. I do not think that AI or whatever technology you think about will help me to reduce significantly the task force I have and to improve my scalability. We are working a lot in investigating that kind of technology and all these kind of things, but my main point is most of the automation technology we are seeing on the market today is based on, to some extent, machine learning. Yeah. Except that in our domain, malicious activity is very creative every day. So you cannot rely on something you learned from the past to predict what will happen tomorrow. So you need to have smart guys that understand the way malicious activity is operating, and you have to bring them in immediately all the capability to take decision. But I think that thinking AI will replace everything, I'm very skeptical on that. So of course we are investigating that because we have to, due to the volume, but with some very pragmatic ambition and expectations.
Yeah. I'm so glad and thankful that you brought up this last point, because I know being part of cybersecurity communities and technology overall, I know a lot of people fear that at some point they are going to lose their jobs. And it's incredible to hear that from an entrepreneur, that we are far away from that. But also on the other hand, I think we can utilize and leverage the power of AI for solutions and just add up to the services that you're going to offer. I can relate with some of the challenges personally because I come from security operations as well. But I also want to move slightly to another point. I've read that you have been speaking extensively in the evolving threats in cybersecurity. So over the years, what are the biggest shifts you've seen in the cyber attacks, whether if it's ransomware or if it's APTs, or even the rise of social engineering? And how have these shifts influenced the way Exilium, or even you personally as a professional, approached its security offerings?
So perhaps there's two things I want to say on that, because the cybersecurity market was developed by frightening people, okay? And I think it's a very bad posture, and that does not make us in the room when it comes to speaking about strategic things. Just because frightening an entrepreneur, that makes no sense. You know, the guy is taking risk every day in building the venture and all these kind of things. So coming by trying to frightening him, GDPR was my best example. But I think what we have to realize is that most of the attacks we are seeing on the market, despite what people think, are basic. We are still coming back to weak password, not patched devices, all these kind of things. In Excelium, I think last year we did 120 investigations with the Incident Response Task Force. Few of them are very complex intrusion. It's really basic things. The basic hygiene that nobody wants to do because it's very boring and it's not very exciting. The fact that perhaps we are using very skilled people for doing basic tasks, that's also one of the consequences of not making that happening with the rigor that we need to do. And so the main issue I'm seeing and why cyber is now on the mouth of everybody is that the cyber criminality has structured themselves into a business. So it's not anymore the young guy in his room trying to hack something because he likes computing. It's a criminal organization that are seeing the cyberspace as a new world where you can explore a lot of things because of the digitalization of our societies, but with a limited risk of being catched. So if you put that plus the geopolitical aspect at the moment that makes the revival of Corsair and pirates and all these kind of things with governmental usage of third parties in order to perpetrate some action against competition makes the situation very I would say open to malicious attempt, and so I used to use three classification to explain to our customer what are the threat landscape. The first one is the guy that just want to take a financial benefits most of the time of what they are doing. So that's perhaps the more present, but the more easier to manage because if you're a little bit more secure than the rest of your neighbors, they will switch. The second one is the people that got the cause to defend, like Anonymous or people like that, they have time and they have a reason. So it means that they will stay. And so you have to be as strong as their motivation. They will not necessarily create a lot of financial damage, but they will disrupt. And the last one, I think that it's the state-sponsored activity that we are seeing more and more at the moment. And also, in Luxembourg, due to the European institutions and all that element, for which, if you are a standard company exposed to that kind of profiles, I think your life will be difficult because the first thing, most of them are not working in the same time zone than us.
Yeah.
So it means when you are in weekend, they are not in weekend and all these kind of things. So I think the main issue is that there is no space anymore to say it will not arrive to me because I'm not interesting. You are present on internet, you have a digital exposure, you will be exposed to that. So the question is really, are they coming just by opportunity or are they coming because there's something to find? But in any case, I think the power at the moment is on the side of the cyber malicious guys than on the good guys.
Yeah. Back to a connection with the previous question, I wanted to know whether you're offering services only based in Europe or you're offering also services in other countries. And the reason why I'm asking this is specifically about frameworks. We know that cybersecurity nowadays have created the need to have regulations and frameworks like DORA or NIST, or we have a lot of others. Is it difficult for you to manage those, and how do you handle the countries which are not functioning under similar frameworks as we have currently here in Europe?
Okay, so first, I think that if we have framework in place, most of the time is because companies are not doing the job without it. So regulation and obligation are not, perhaps I'm a little bit too rush on that, but we are exposed to that because we are not doing the job. Okay, and so that creates sometimes an issue because people misunderstood compliance and security. For several organizations like in finance, being compliant is key. Being secure, we are compliant, so the regulator will be happy. Now I think things are changing due to the wave of ransomware, which created an impact on the production. And so I think the key message, or at least the proper profile of customer that we are working with, are the one that understand that resilience is the key. Okay, so the question is not being exposed or not, is not being facing an incident or whatever. The question is being able to react. And if you look the history, most of the companies spend a lot of effort to protect themselves, but very few before the ransomware waves to anticipate that something will happen, and they have to be able to react to an attack. And so they discover attack like they were not concerned before. And so for sure, if you're not prepared, you die. So that's coming back to what you were saying about the exposure of the framework. To be frank, of course, each country is popping up their own standard or framework, but to some extent, it looks like the same foundation, ISO 27001 or these kind of things. We used to work for now with Thales, with Australia, US, Africa. So we are exposed to a lot of regulation. I'm not sure that having that amount of regulations help the industry, because the time you are spending in filling Excel file or these kind of things, that's not where the hacker will come. But it's creating a kind of a structure to improve. So I'm expecting that the maturity will help us to understand that there's a difference between filling an Excel file for an auditor and making sure that you put in place the right process and procedure to be able to react to the malicious activities.
Yeah. On one of the previous questions, we discussed a little bit what do you see as the most potential cyber attacks and threats. And now I want to know from your technical standpoint, what are the key challenges that you face in maintaining consistency and scalability across such a wide range of SOCs? You said that you're working as a service provider, the Exilium company, and I just want to know, how do you ensure seamless communication and threat detection in real time, which I think is one of the very important key points of SOC.
Yeah. So that's not an easy thing, to be frank. And despite what all the vendors on the market can say, it's remain a challenge, because basically you have two models. You have central operation with distributed operation. So your technical stack is located in one single place and people remotely connect to the stack in order to operate, which is the easy way. Or you have the model we have in Thales, which is in fact the consolidation of several operations across the globe. And now the challenge is to making sure people operate in the same way on different technology in order to make that to happen, because despite what we think, we are seeing more and more that we are an extension of the operational perimeter of the customer. So we can have our own stack and own technology, but we have to interconnect with the customer capability and technologies. So we will have to operate, for example, in Excelium, we are operating 5 different stack for detection and response, because that's the nature of the business. So for sure it's costly, but that gives us flexibility and agility. And the positioning we have in Thales is that we want to be able to operate global operation, but with local proximity, because we consider that when a customer will have a trouble, he would like to talk to people that are near to him and not remotely installed in a data center somewhere, or I don't know where in a country, where the sensitivity of the situation is not necessarily evaluated with the same level. So I think that's an ongoing challenge for us, to be sure. We are trying to segment the domains, because we have, being a defense group, we have in some countries some obligation to have only local citizen accessing some data. We have some sensible areas, so it's not a commodity business for us. That's why the customer we target are not necessarily anybody, but it's more the classification of what we call the critical national infrastructure, or the customer that have a very strong industrial and IT operation, for which the level of sensibility on resilience aspect is very sensible. The only things that, to come back to your point regarding the threats and the malicious information, is that I think what changed from today compared to 10 or 12 years ago is the threat intel. Now you need to understand rapidly the way people operate in order to react rapidly. And despite what most of the people think, you cannot have 3 guys in a room doing CTI and expecting that they know everything about what happened. So you need to have a global operation on that, and making sure you fuel all your operation in order to have as fast as possible the IOC, key indicators, and all these kind of things that automatically feed your detection engine. And just to give you an example, in Excelium, we have one guy a day that is just looking about the new report coming out the market in order to collect the IOC, fill the IOC, and so you need to have the volume in order to be able to finance that as an entrepreneur. And so that's why for us that's a key differentiator, the CTI capability we have across the globe that is coming both from our operation, but also now we are lucky as Thales make the acquisition of Imperva to get all the feed that Imperva collect across internet in order to look the patterns and what happened in that volume of data in order to, the question is not to be the first one to know. The question is that guy is targeting me or is targeting all an industry or is it an accident and these kind of things, because that's changed the size of the muscles you have to put in place in order to react. And with the geopolitical situation at the moment, that's becoming more and more a challenge or a concern for some customer. For example, we were talking with a shipping company that is afraid that some government will use the capability to let's say challenge or to change the GPS localization and that reroute the ships. So this is kind of things we never talk about 5 or 6 years before. So we are seeing that the military techniques move to the industrial and the more commercial activity also. So that's where it's quite difficult to have just basic CTI, but you need also to have a very specialized capability in some specific verticals.
Yeah, definitely cyber threat intelligence is something crucial and core for every company and even public institution. And the main ingredient and the most important part of it is definitely sharing information worldwide.
Which is another topic.
Yes, we can elaborate on that another time. You briefly mentioned Thales. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah. I want to dig a little bit deeper in that. I know that Exilium is integrating into Thales. So what were some of the challenges you faced in terms of aligning Exilium entrepreneur culture, which you know firsthand, with Thales corporate structure? Have you started on this regard yet, and how is it going on?
Yeah. So first, the sales to Thales was competitive selling. So we selected Thales as a buyer. Of course, they were interested, so that makes the deal happening. But the discussion we have quite rapidly when it happened is that why a company of 80,000 people doing 24 billion is interested to acquire 200 people based in Luxembourg doing 25 million, because the money is not the subject. But the point was the expertise we developed, the capability we developed. And so the challenge since the beginning was, can we expand that capability into the group in order to make that something valuable for the Thales division we are part of. So that's what we spend our time over the last 2 years. Exilium does not exist anymore, so I should say that the brand was definitely removed in January for Luxembourg. So we are now Thales Cyber Services Luxembourg. I think that when we decided to move to Thales, the choice we did was that we wanted a European player, because the feeling we had that once again the geopolitical situation will bring the needs to have a European player in that field, and there's not so much. The second one, as an entrepreneur, I wanted to have not a financial partner, but an industrial one, which is Thales. Thales is building a system, is building products. Of course, financial is an element, but it's a company with a lot of engineers. And I think that was more in line with the mindset we had, which is building things. And the last one, we discover, or we had the impression that the interest of Thales was to leverage our capability in order to build something together and not just to take a space or a customer or market share in Luxembourg and Belgium at that moment. So I'm saying that because that means that the initial ingredient in order to create something that is integrated and not just a sub, I will say, were in place. And we are seeing that because if you look over the last 2 years, I took a global position myself. We got different Excelium guys that now are operating at the group level. We are also in some initiative for the group to be the beta test for deploying specific systems. And we have a seat around the table when it comes to discuss strategy and development. So I think that was a good choice, and we are seeing that because over the last 2 years we doubled our revenue, so which created, or which result to what we were expecting, which is being able to get access to different deals, not just Luxembourg one or European one, but more global deals, where we can expand the capability we have built in order to have a bigger impact.
Yeah. So it was more over a strategic decision to integrate into Thales.
I think it was a good match, because I think that's the key point, and it's quite difficult because a lot of my friends who have created their own company when they joined a big group were destroyed to some extent, or just removed from the map, which is not, because even in some specific services we are driving that for the group. Because the expertise we develop in Luxembourg. So I think as an entrepreneur, you spend 10 to 12 years to create a company, you sell it, so you have two possible options, going to the Bahamas and relax, or to say, okay, in order to build that company, I attract, in our case, it was 200 people, so I got my check, but what about them? Because they help us to build that, so you need to make sure that they got a capability to develop their employability expertise into a group that will give them the opportunity for that. And I think that's what happened with Thales, which makes the things happening. And if you look, my key concern are retaining people and our employees is the attractivity and retention we have, and it's quite good at the moment. So it seems that we made the right choice.
That's incredible. One of the key pillars of the industry, as for other industries as well, not only cybersecurity, is definitely education. We need to be able to produce the next wave of cybersecurity experts, and the way how we do that is by creating a sustainable way of being taught, these new experts being taught by people who have a long background in the field already. So since 2018, you've been an associate professor at Telecom Nancy, and you've been teaching definitely the next generation of cybersecurity experts. How does your work in academia inform your understanding of cybersecurity industry? Are there any particular challenges in the industry that you think are important to teach students about, especially the ones who are beginning to enter the field?
Yeah. Perhaps to elaborate on that. So I'm indeed an official associate professor in Telecom Nancy since 2018, but I'm teaching since 2000. And why? Because our growth was directly linked to our attractivity to key resource and key talents. So in order to make that happening, we were going to the school to catch them immediately at the sources. But to come back perhaps more on your question, we have good schools, if I look around us, because I'm teaching, but more than, I think we're participating in more than 10 different training or school or courses across the Grand Region with different employees, because we encourage them to teach, because I think the school are producing the good resource when it comes to strong foundation, hard skills, and all these kind of things. But our job as a professional is to bring them the expertise of what we have learned on the market. And I think the school have a lot of appetite to bring to their students, this is what does it mean in reality. So you are learning that because of that. And what I'm seeing over that 20 years of training is that I remember my initial training were very basic, PowerPoint based, and I talk, you listen, and these kind of things, which is changing a lot now because we are expecting to have people in front of us that have learned how to learn. We give them perhaps something that is right at the moment, but tomorrow they will have to learn much more things. And so the evolution for schools, and that's what we are doing at Telecom Nancy, is to focus a lot on the soft skills. Can you speak? Can you write? Can you explain? Can you vulgarize? Can you be able to immerse yourself in a new topic and learn about that topic in order to understand it? And so my job, or the way I'm teaching, is really focusing on exposing them. You know, put them in the shoes of a future security practitioner and give me explanation of that APT group. Make a presentation to your future IT manager on what does it mean, what is the action plan you propose, why you propose that. Make some investigation on real data and extract what you have to extract. So it's not just providing theoretical skills, which the school was already doing, but it's really bringing them the exposure of what they will face tomorrow when they will go in their professional world.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the soft skills. I think coming from a more technical cybersecurity field, I know firsthand, and I have a lot of colleagues, and I've met a lot of people who are really great at what they're doing, but they're definitely lacking the soft skills. And it's incredible to build up a persona and a security expert that has both of these. I know that the technical skills can definitely be taught and can be learned throughout the years with experience, but if you build this foundation of soft skills, it's really going to be beneficial for the future security professional. So that's a great approach from my point of view.
You know, there's a balance, because I know I have the impression today that we are trying to have everybody design at the same way, but I have technical experts in my in my organization for which soft skills it's another world, and I don't want to change them, you know, because they are very good in what they are doing. They are happy with. So you just need to build the infrastructure around them that will protect them about that, and to create the interface between them and the external world. You know, I'm remembering a situation that happened, I think 5 or 6 years ago. It was summertime. A significant lawyer firm in Luxembourg have been impacted by a big incident. They called me and said, Christophe, I need staff, I need people. I have nobody. It's a Friday afternoon. My principal guys are in holidays. The other one are engaged. You don't have a contract with SLA, so I will try to do something, but I don't have the guy. I said, I just got 2 students doing their internship at the moment. They are working on a lab. If you want, I can send them and manage them remotely by one of our senior, but that's the most I can do. And so I say, yeah, send me everything you have, because we are in a very bad situation. So I send the 2 guys. And the evening, the guy called me and said, Christophe, can you keep the guys? But do you have someone with a shirt that can come to talk to my manager? Because they were in T-shirt. You know, and so my point is, that's nice to have people who speak well. But we are in a technical world, so we need expertise, and to some extent you cannot expect that everybody is able to be an expert, but also a good guy in relationship, and so you have to manage and you have to balance. And perhaps to come back to a point that I'm trying to explain a lot, especially to the young generation. In cybersecurity, the good thing is that there's as many jobs as you can imagine. So it's not just someone with the hoodies and the Red Bull that will make some hacking every day. We need project manager, we need a risk manager, we need plenty of different skills that makes the job accessible for a lot of different profiles. So we don't have to be expert. You know, I remember 20 years ago I was debriefing with customer when we were doing pen test. Today I cannot anymore, you know, because it's becoming too complex, and I appreciate the scope, I appreciate the big ideas, but I'm not able to go in details, and I don't need, because I got 10 people for doing that. So I think we need to have that balance. But for sure, you know, with my daughter, that's one topic of discussion. Soft skills is important in order to navigate in the current world. You need to appreciate that you will have to learn. Definitely, you need to have a little bit some self-confidence because you will be exposed of tension, stress, and all these kind of things. So you need to be able to manage that, and you need to be able to interact with people. So that's why even if you're an engineer, you need to appreciate that. Perhaps you don't like that, but you need to appreciate that you need some skills. So or you develop that, or you find friends that can be your counterpart. But that's important.
Yeah, definitely. The reason why I brought it up is because I know there are a lot of technical experts who really want to move towards positions like being technical leads, not necessarily managing people. And the reason why they could not do that is, for example, they're not good at communication, and that could penalize them for further development. So I think it's a great approach if you as a professor to try to teach and balance the soft skills on parallel with technical skills for the future generation, because it can always come handy for sure.
No, that's true. But you know, to your point, that's something we develop since the beginning at Excelium. Being the boss does not mean that you are the team leader. You can be a boss because you are the expert in your domain. So it's what we call subject matter experts. So you can have different career. It's not because you manage people that you are better than someone that is not managing people. You know, so I think that's something we need also to appreciate. You know, some people are more enthusiastic in managing people, and some people are more enthusiastic in managing technical skills. So the beauty in cyber, or at least in a company like Thales now, is that you can have both capabilities. You know, and you know, I have one of my key guys. He just passed. He got only a BTS, you know, a bachelor. And last year he came to me and said, "Christophe, do you think I need to pass a master?" I said, "For what?" He said, "Because people that have a master can become stronger in the organization." I said, "What the hell are you thinking about that?" Because someone tell you, "Yeah, but if tomorrow you change the company, perhaps having an engineer degree or master degree will help you." I said, "Okay, but guy, you got 20 years of experience. You are the well-known guys in application security. You wrote a book. You did that. You did that." So, but I saw that it was something that you were thinking. So I said, "Okay, we will manage." So we found a school. So we called the 1600 in Paris, who is providing the capability to have equivalence. And so the guy spent 6 months to develop the equivalence, and he made his soutenance last week, and he get his diploma. So what is changing for him? Nothing, you know. So, but now he's more confident. So I think we need to, we need as employer and manager to understand also what is the best interest of the people in terms of development. And I think going to the top, it's more politics, and it's not for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a lot of bureaucracy. And majority of the job positions, especially if you are a beginner, they're going to require for you to have either some of the most trending certifications in cybersecurity,
Yeah.
or even majority of the times, especially in Europe, they will ask you to have a bachelor in IT or specifically in cybersecurity. Now I want to touch base to your other activities. So you're doing a lot in your time, and you're definitely making sure to share your expertise in different conferences. So in different conferences, you've been speaking a lot about economics of cybercrime. And with the increasing number of cyber attacks, at times we're seeing massive financial losses and even reputational losses, at least once a year. From your research and experience, what are the most pressing economic implications of cybercrime, and how should businesses approach budgeting for cybersecurity from a return of investment strategy and perspective?
ROI, yeah, that's the buzzword that everybody is using for years. You know, I used to say that first we are not speaking about the economy of cybersecurity, but cyber insecurity. You know, because we have a criminality that is making money, and so if you are playing in that world, you have to accept that. So now the question is, can I show a ROI in cyber? Most of the time, it's very complex to demonstrate, except if the organization has faced a very significant incident where the discussion does not happen anymore. Okay, so that's a little bit a pity that we have to have that to happen in order to change a little bit the mindset. But for sure, to few extents, cyber remain a cause concern, and I think by default it will change. This morning I was in a conference reading ER, so everybody, if you're not doing a ER project today, you are a loser in a company, so everybody is doing that. But most of the people does not understand how it works and all the risk associated to that. So for sure, we will have a lot of very significant incidents. What about deepfake usage or whatever? And I think the key point, and that's where perhaps we as security experts, we have been bad in, is to appreciate what the organization needs to have in terms of the right level of risk acceptance instead of being 100% secure. And I think we have not been good, mainly because, so perhaps it's a short path, but I think that because cyber is mainly managed by security experts today, we are failing. Because when you're an expert, you cannot be wrong. So the only answer to that is technology. And more you bring technology, more you bring issues, patch, vulnerabilities, and all these kind of things. Instead of trying to understand what is important for the company and what does it mean being reliable or resilient, if I can say that way, and what are the main assets we have to protect in that organization. And I'm seeing that with a very uneasy positioning, because I got 200 people in the company telling me every day that we have to be more secure on that, on that, on that. And so the result is that we are putting a stupid measure in place, so sometimes I have to explain to them, say, sit down with me, and I will explain to you what does it mean. So you put that in place, so I have to do that, and that, which break the security level you put in place just because your measure is not adequate to what I'm using day to day. And I'm the boss, so I know the value I have when I'm spending 1 hour trying to bypass your security control, and perhaps you're not the most appropriate to define that security control because you missed the point. So, and I think we have not been good enough in understanding what does it mean to make a business that is working in a secure way, that is at the right level compared to the risk exposure I have and the risk appetite the company has. And that creates a situation where people are happy to say this morning the guy started the conference saying, you heard that yesterday, security, well-known company have been facing a big issue. So he was speaking about X, and Twitter. And okay, a big corporation of an issue, so you have to secure yourself. But, some of my colleague entrepreneurs said, Christophe, even when the NSIs break, why I will spend money on that? Because it will happen to me easily. So, the counterpart of that posture of saying you have to, that's not, I think, the most adequate posture. And I met very few people in my career that are able to appreciate what does it mean being a company and what are the key assets, and how I can be a supportive guy inside my organization in order to raise the awareness and the concern, and not just be the bad guy saying you have to do that, and I will block that, and I will block that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I used to say the security guy, nobody wants to take a coffee with him at the coffee machine because he will come with issues and problems. So, and time to time, I have my CISO sending us a memo. I don't understand what he's saying. I'm a security guy, so I go back to the school and I learn the soft skills I explained before, because that's creating that gap between the executive person in an organization and the staff that is supposed to be operating, and creating a lot of frustration between both parties. At the Institute Luxembourg of Administration, we created a security training for non-executing director. And I'm quite often amazed by the kind of question they want to ask to security professionals, because they are shy to expose the fact that they don't understand. And the security guys is frustrated because his management is not interested in what he's saying, But it's just because they don't speak the same language, And I think we have to work a little bit more on that in order to... we have a right momentum because cyber is so high in the agenda of the management that we should be able to create some bridge between the two worlds. But I think the security guys have to think about what they are doing first in order to be the right people to talk to when it comes to executive positioning.
Yeah. I know that also one of the challenges, especially in the developing countries, is that some of the businesses, especially small, medium enterprises, are not really understanding the role and importance of being secure in the digital era. How do you think that businesses can rethink cybersecurity role within the organization? What would your advice be, or your from your line of expertise, what would you advise, especially the SMEs who are tending to overlook this aspect in their organizations?
I'm not sure that we can say that SMEs don't care about security or don't appreciate that it's important. It's just that it's a cost. Yesterday I was reading on a French newspaper that 60% of the small and medium owners own less than 2,600 euros a month. Okay, so for sure their concern is the cost. And digitalization is a way for them to leverage their capability, reduce the cost, make the business more efficient. And of course, when you come and say, okay, it costs you 10 to put that in place, but 30% more to secure it. Can we not test without the security and we will see if it's not working? So I think that's a big challenge because the democratization of the technology makes the technology affordable for everybody. But my point is that education is not enough. So, for example, you cannot drive without a driving license, and you can use ChatGPT without understanding at all how it's working. And I think for the last 3 or 4 years, I'm asking every year to all the students I have a year, so something like 100, 150, how ChatGPT is working. I think over the last 4 years, 3 of them answer to that. They are engineering IT. So, but they are using ChatGPT every day, So this morning my talk was about that concern. Is that if you think that what ChatGPT is telling you is true, which is the case of a lot of people, for sure that's a huge space for malicious activity to jump in. But if you didn't train your staff and if you didn't train yourself on what is EI, and you deploy that massively into your organization, that's over. You're using a technology you don't understand. So for sure, if you didn't do the basic things, which is a risk evaluation, what does it mean? Train a little bit you guys and all these kind of things. You expose yourself. You don't have to have the malicious guy knocking at your door. You expose your door to them. So I think that's where we are not good in.
Yeah. You brought me back so many years ago when I was doing one of the academies in cybersecurity. And we had this incredible mentor, and he said, if you cannot visualize what happens when you type google.com in a browser, then you really are not in the right path.
That's my first session with my student. We start from the basic. I said, okay, you put www.facebook.com on your computer. What happened?
And the background, yeah.
And we spent 4 hours on that, on things that they are supposed to know. But because it was never materialized.
True.
But my daughter got 15 years old, she's on his mobile phone every day. She has no clue on what she's using as technology, but she's using the technology, putting a lot of very sensitive information inside the mobile phone. So we are lucky in Luxembourg that there's a lot of effort from the government to educate students, to educate a young generation, but I think the main issue of the massive volume of cyber criminality, phishing and all these kind of things, is that people use technology that they have no clue of how it's working. And because we make that technology easier for them to adopt, because if you say, in order to use GenAI, you need to be good in API development, you stop the adoption. But today you don't care. You don't care and you don't know. But you interact with that like it's your friend, like if it's known everything, and you have no clue on what is the technology. I don't mean being an expert on that, but understanding that GenAI, for example, has only one capability, which is to predict the next word in a sentence. That's all. So you cannot rely on what it's given back to you, and you have to challenge that. But most of the people think that it's true.
Yeah.
And so we will come back to the discussion of the world is flat and all this kind of situation.
Yeah, but that really helps even us as individuals. For example, in my work offline now, I have to understand the low level, for example, the infrastructure that we operate in, security operations, for me to be able to offer a sustainable solution or a good solution. So even for us as professionals, it's very crucial to understand every aspect of technology and not only focus in the line of work, because we will be
Of
faced with
course.
different
But you know, that's an
topics.
example I took recently. My daughter, 15 years old, is in a Luxembourg school where they got a module which is how to use GenAI or ChatGPT to better learn. If you remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago when ChatGPT went out, Sciences Po in Paris, which is one of the schools providing the best experts in political in France, they banned the usage of ChatGPT in the school. So what does it mean? It means that you say to the guy, no, don't use that. So what will happen? The guy will use that at home. So it's shadow AI with no control at all. And people will not say that I use GenAI to do that because it seems that it's bad to do that, you know. And I think we don't have to be shy to say we need to educate, you know. And I'm the first user of GenAI, you know. I've been paying the $200 subscription for ChatGPT because I'm using that on a daily basis. But when you use that kind of tools, you need to make sure that you appreciate the result and you can be critical thinking about what is coming back, because it looks like true, but it's not quite often true, you know. So you have to make sure about the result and use that to leverage yourself and not just to replace yourself. Because we mentioned that briefly, but I think the main risk with GenAI today is not to replace my assistant, my translator, to replace myself. I'm spending on an average 2 days and a half by doing emails. What is the value of doing emails? ChatGPT can do that on behalf of myself, and I'm sure it will be not so bad to answer to most of the stupid email I'm receiving. You know, so the technology, because a lot of people said with AI we will get a productivity gain. Okay, but over the last 20 years, there's no productivity despite the technology, because we are spending 30% of our time doing emails now. I don't know why, but since COVID, all the meeting sessions take 1 hour because by default is the time slot of Teams. But why we are doing all meetings 1 hour? Why it's not 20 minutes or 45 minutes? Just because the tools by default propose us 1 hour. And guess what? Meetings are taking 1 hour. You know, so we are, what the benefits we're getting from the technology, we are losing it because we are not using the technology for purpose, but we are becoming dependent of the technology. And you know, the social network has a good illustration of how many time you can spend on useless things just because your brain is put on sleeping mode, you know. So I think we need to educate a little bit more the young generation, because I think that was one of the article Microsoft published last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the laziness of the brain by using GenAI. So instead of starting to think, you prompt, you know, and it's so easy, you know. So I have to write an email. So ChatGPT, I have to write an email on that. Can you suggest me the content instead of starting to think, you know? So I think that's a big risk that we are facing today of becoming dependent of such kind of technologies.
Definitely. I think one of the other important points and quite interesting is that we have a lot of qualified people in the field and interested people who want to even start their own startup and be entrepreneurs. You as an investor, from your perspective, what do you look for in a cybersecurity startup, and what advice would you give to founders who are trying to build a product or service that stands out in such a competitive industry?
Okay. So first, I'm not investing just in a cyber startup. So I'm investing in a significant range. I haven't invested in a couscous restaurant chain, you know, so that you can see that. But because in fact my main focus is the team or the entrepreneur. And I know everybody wants to become an entrepreneur. I understand that the thinking is that I will make a lot of money, blah, 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 but I think it's a very bad concept. And I think if you're becoming an entrepreneur to be independent, that's the reverse that will happen, because all your employee will be the guy telling you that you have to do something because they want their check at the end of the month. So that's not a good reason for that. In fact, I have two basic questions when I start to discuss with entrepreneurs. Why are you doing that? What is the Maslow pyramid stage that you want to answer? Is it your ego? Is it your interest? Is it whatever? Just to understand, no judgment, just to appreciate why you are, what is motivating you, because it will drive you to what you want to achieve. And the second one is, what is your exit plan? Because if it's not clear, it will be rapidly a challenge when it will comes to making association to other partner or to onboard exec people in your organization. If the message is not clear, the direction is not clear, it will not work. And I think that's what I learned with Exilium. I think we sitted with my co-founder 12 years ago, defining on a paper a basic business plan, and it was the direction. So we did a business plan. We never look at it again. It changed after 2 months because we were successful. But the only things that we have been good in is by defining that business plan, we express the value and the reason why we are doing that. And so over the last 12 years of building that company, we never had to talk about some divergence, because since the beginning we were in line. And it's as simple as, okay, we don't want to sell the company, but what about if someone is coming and putting a check on the table? When we say yes. And so it's funny, but we said, I don't know, let's say 7 million each. And why 7 million each? Because we did the computation that with 5% interest rate, it's 10K a month. And we said 10K a month, you pay the bill. So 10 million each should be okay. And that's stupid, but for 10 years, we never talk about what is the exit, do we accept that, do we do that? We just manage the company on a daily basis and be open to opportunity and see if it makes sense or not based on the value we add. And so I think when you're an entrepreneur, you need to be realistic about what is your main motivation, why you are doing that, and what do you expect from that. And my second point is, do I understand what you are saying? Someone telling me, yeah, I'm doing that on Web3 with Metaverse and all. Okay, that's certainly a good idea, but I'm not the guy that can help you on that. So on the restaurant, that's the same. I'm not good in couscous. But I said, if you want to open a restaurant in Luxembourg with my network, I can help you. So yeah, I'm supporting you because you seem to have a strong team, and let's go. So I think that's perhaps the good things in the current world is that you can be an entrepreneur with no very strong barrier in terms of technology. There's a lot of things accessible that will help you to start your business. But the issue is that a successful company, it's about 7 to 10 years. So you have to be consistent, and it will be 24/7. So if you are not ready for that, find another job in a well-established company with a stable salary, because that's what will happen. And you will face a lot of issues during that journey, and you need to be ready to accept that and to overpass that, because that's the way you create a company. Otherwise, everybody will be an entrepreneur. And money is not free. That's the additional element that when I'm investing in an entrepreneur, I said, you can lose the money, but it's better not to. But the money is not free. So if you invest in a company, you expect a return. And so you have to deliver the return as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, since we are in this subject and we need to wrap up for today, can you share maybe some advices with the people who really want to start this entrepreneurship journey?
So if we come back to the focus of cyber, because that's I think that for sure there's plenty of opportunity to start an entrepreneurship journey in cyber today. But what I will suggest, or what I will be more confident with, is with people that have a very strong tech capability. So I created a services company. It's easy, let's say that way. You need to find the right people, have a vision, making sure that you have conviction of the way you have to do things, but you are not developing a tech. So if today you develop, of course you can develop your own staffing company or whatever, but I'm not considering that as an entrepreneurship journey. But if you want to develop a product or a tech, the first thing you need the right people, the tech guys. And I will be more confident to invest in a company that have strong technical capability, who don't know how to sell, than a good salesman with no technical capability behind him, and the magic after that is to combine both. And I came across an entrepreneur based in south of France last week. A friend of mine called me and said, Christophe, the guy is lost in selling. He don't know how to sell. But can you have a look on what he's doing? And so I talked to the guys, and the guy is doing $500,000 revenue a year with 6 people. Nobody know him. Very, very tech product and services that he's delivering. Say, wow, that's the kind of entrepreneur. I say, come on, I will help you because there's a massive potential there, But it's expertise, expertise. And I think in our field, you need that level of expertise. And I'm saying that because from my beginning, that's the conviction that we had with my co-founder. That's what we call Excelium. Expertise was the key, and premium. That's the two ID that we had behind the Exilium brand. And to be frank, I found that my entrepreneurship journey was very easy because that strong guys that were around us all during that journey. And I'm more confident in selling expertise than trying to sell something without making sure that what we are doing is the right things or the right way of doing it. And so that's what I think in our field, expertise is key.
Definitely. Christophe, I really want to thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. It's definitely refreshing to get all of these advices, even for myself. We thank you very, very much for making the time, and hopefully we'll have you in other episodes to treat other subjects.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for listening to us. This was the Cyberzone podcast, and see you in the next episode.